and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Arundhati Ramanan, and these are the top headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. Sensex and Nifty end the budget week at a new record high. Both indices are up over 1% this week thanks to a Friday rally. This is the 8th straight week of gains, the longest winning streak in 7 years. India's largest airline, Indigo, reports a strong first quarter as revenues rise by 17%. IndusInd Bank disappoints as profits decline for the first time in over 5 years. Cipla beats estimates with a 6% revenue growth. With 70 top companies reporting Q1 earnings so far, CNBC TV18 analysis shows only 18 companies have seen EPS upgrades. 40 companies have seen downgrades so far.
It's not been increased because I want more money. And it's not been increased for everything. Every asset class has to be treated similarly.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman defends the tax changes in the budget, says government is open to feedback, but the finance bill is now with Parliament, pledges to continue with higher public spending, says government is not in a hurry to shut the shop on capex. Ola Electric all set to drive into Dalal Street. Sources say the initial public offering is set to open on the 2nd of August. Valuation likely to be just over $4 billion. ITC to invest 20,000 crore rupees over 5 years. The FMCG business will get up to 40% of the total funds. 1/3 will go to paperboards and packaging business. India's largest conglomerate gets even bigger. The recent rally in TCS and Tata Motors takes the Tata Group's market valuation beyond $400 billion. Some relief for SpiceJet and a setback for the former promoter of the airline, Kalanidhi Maran. Supreme Court rejects Maran's plea and upholds a division bench order against the arbitral award of 578 crore rupees plus interest. Apex Court orders the High Court to assign the case to a different judge. Travel chaos in France ahead of the opening ceremony of the Paris Olympics. French rail network hit by arson attacks and vandalism, and repairs could take a couple of days.
We cannot look away in the face of these tragedies. We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to the suffering, and I will not be silent.
After meeting Israel's Prime Minister, Kamala Harris says she will not stay silent on the suffering in Gaza, also acknowledges Israel's right to defend itself. Former President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama endorse Harris and her bid for the White House. Those were the headlines that we're tracking for you this evening, but let's start with the market action of the day. Sensex and Nifty hit record high in trade to end the budget week at a new peak. Sensex gained nearly 1,300 points and the Nifty gained nearly 500 points. Mid-caps kept pace with the blue chips, but bank stocks underperformed. The rally on Friday ensured that both indices ended the week in the green. Nifty gained over 1% this week. This is the 8th straight week of gains, marking the longest winning streak in 7 years. The mid-cap index gained over 3%, but bank stocks saw profit booking, and the Nifty Bank Index ended lower by nearly 2%. To the big earnings of the day, Interglobe Aviation reported a strong first quarter. Even as profits declined by 12% year-on-year, the airline has managed to post a profit for 7 straight quarters. Revenue growth is at 17% and EBITDA saw growth of 4%. It was a weak first quarter for IndusInd Bank, with both net profit and net interest income missing expectations. The private lender's asset quality also deteriorated, with gross NPA rising 2% sequentially. Meanwhile, net interest margin stood at a 7-quarter low of 4.2%. Shares of Cipla jumped in trade and ended 5% in the green after posting a good set of numbers in the first quarter. Net profit rose more than 18%, while revenue jumped nearly 6% on an annual basis. The company raked in $250 million in sales versus $226 in the fourth quarter. About 70 top companies in the Nifty 200 index have reported their earnings so far. Many have seen EPS downgrades and only a handful have seen upgrades. Prashant Nair is here with a Q1 report card. Prashant?
Thanks very much for that. It's perhaps too early to call it a full report card because it's not a full accounting of things. As you said, what we're basically trying to do is looking at how earnings expectations for FY25 have changed in the last 1 month for companies out of the NSE 200 list. And these are the top tracked, well-owned companies, liquid, large, mid, companies, and you know, how many have seen upgrades to their full year estimates and how many have seen downgrades. So the reason I say it's not a full accounting, if it's not even half the accounting, is because only 70 have reported out of NSE 200 as of yesterday's close. But out of the 70 which have reported, I mean, I think the numbers are pretty, stark. 40 have seen EPS being downgraded. Only 18 have seen EPS numbers being upgraded. And mind you, out of these 18 companies also, you got lots of, I mean, about 4 or 5 of them where the upgrades are about 1%, 1.5%, small upgrades. So I'm counting for that as well. So this is essentially the list of companies which have seen the largest downgrades. I'm not putting out all of them, but Bank of Maharashtra, Paytm, which of course was a big mover, but for other reasons. JSW has seen full year 25 earnings being taken down 12%. There is Loris, you know, a lot of tech companies, right? Coforge, Tata Elxsi, Tata Technologies have seen these downgrades. Tata Communication is another one which is down about earnings around 6%, marked down by the street. These are all from sort of Bloomberg consensus estimates. Asian Paints, Dalmia Bharat, and SRF as well. As I said, total of 40, but the top ones there. Now, which are the companies which have seen upgrades? You'll find a lot of insurance companies here. So look at this: ICICI Pru, there is ICICI Lombard, SBI Life, HDFC Life. This is the cohort which has seen the maximum upgrades. There is asset management company HDFC AMC as well, which has seen about a 8% upgrade. Others, there is Suzlon, Kotak Bank, Canara Bank, and a BPCL out there. So 18 here, but of course I've not put all of them, but the top upgrades which are really coming through. I mean, markets continue to do very well, and I hope that as the earnings season proceeds and we get to the 50% mark, and then of course beyond that, you get more positive surprises because, at the end of the day, stocks, at least in the medium to long term, will return what earnings return. So you need earnings growth to pick up substantially, at least till now, from what we've seen. That has not been happening. Back to you.
So up till now, there are more downgrades than upgrades, but a lot more companies left to report their earnings. Thank you so much for those for taking us through those details, Prashant. Now, the changes in taxes were not to shore up government revenue, but to ensure uniform treatment of asset classes. That's the word from Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, speaking at the Budget Open House organised by the RP Sanjeev Goenka Group in partnership with CNBC TV18. The FM said that the government's aim was to simplify the tax system. She added that the government is not in a hurry to shut the shop on capex. Take a look.
At least I can tell you under Prime Minister Modi, nothing is done just with the back of the envelope calculations. We go through rigorously, we talk areas, and only then, not for revenue considerations, I underline that. More for ease of doing business, more for simplification, more for rationalization. Have we brought changes in the tax? It's not been increased because I want more money. And it's not been increased for everything. Every asset class has to be treated similarly and nothing more. We'd like to be sure that the public spending actually does the job of bringing public infrastructure and bettering it as well. So it is not a temporary solution that we thought is required post-COVID. India still has infrastructure deficit in some parts of the country. Infrastructure still has a lot of work to do. So I wouldn't be in a hurry to say, can I shut that shop? No. So, of course, that doesn't mean we'll keep doing it and we'll not have a view on private sector investment. We will want that to be ramped up, there's no doubt.
The government has extended its electric mobility promotion scheme for the auto sector by 2 months. Sources tell CNBC TV18 that the scheme will have an additional outlay of over 270 crore rupees. Remember, a temporary scheme was launched in March with an outlay of 500 crore rupees for 4 months. Parikshit Luthra is here with more. Parikshit?
Well, yes, this only goes to show that the FAME 3 scheme, which had been in the works for the past few months, will take more time. What has happened now will bring some relief to the EV industry, but they would still be hoping for long-term clarity. when the FAME 2 scheme was expiring in the month of March 2024, the government thought about bringing a temporary scheme for a 4-month period called the Electric Mobility Promotion Scheme. That scheme too is supposed to expire by the end of this month. Now, because the FAME 3 scheme has not yet been approved, the government has decided to give the Electric Mobility Promotion Scheme or the temporary scheme an extension of 2 months. This extended scheme will have an outlay of 274 crores, and the terms and conditions of this scheme do not change. It will only apply in terms of incentives to electric two-wheelers and electric three-wheelers. Now, what happens for FAME 3? Well, there are discussions between ministries on what should be the outlay. The original draft of the FAME 3 scheme had an outlay of 10,000 crores with incentives, higher incentives for electric buses, electric trucks and electric charging infrastructure. Lower incentives for electric two-wheelers, three-wheelers, with a view to tapering them down in the next 2 to 3 years. While that view still stands, there are some differences in terms of the outlay, which category should get higher incentives, whether cars for shared mobility should be included or not. So let's wait and see what happens in the next few months.
All right, Parikshit, many thanks for those details. Now, Ola Electric is all set to drive into Dalal Street. Sources have told CNBC TV 18 that the company's initial public offering will open on the 2nd of August with a likely listing on the 9th of June. Ola Electric's valuation is likely to be at $4.25 billion. The company is looking to raise up to 500 crore rupees via a combination of a fresh issue and an offer for sale. We told you first, and now it's official. Mankind Pharma is set to acquire 100% stake in Bharat Serums and Vaccines from Advent International. The deal is worth over 13,600 crore rupees. The acquisition will boost Mankind Pharma's position in the women's health and fertility drug market. Pharma major Biocon is looking to raise over 4,000 crore rupees by selling shares to institutional investors. Sources tell CNBC TV 18 that the funds could be used to pay debt. The QIP is likely to be launched as early as next month. The company's board may consider the fundraise when it meets on the 8th of August. And ITC has announced that it will invest 20,000 crore rupees across its businesses over the next 5 years. Around 40% of this investment will be pumped into ITC's FMCG business for capacity augmentation and innovation. Shilpa Ranipeta joins us now with the details. Shilpa, take us through the capex outlay for ITC.
Over the next 5 years, ITC is looking at investing 20,000 crore rupees across its businesses. 35 to 40% of this, that's nearly 8,000 crore rupees, will go into the FMCG business to expand its manufacturing capacities, to upgrade product qualities and also launch new product varieties. Another 1/3 of it, nearly 7,000 crore rupees, will go into the paperboards and packaging business. And here too, the company wants to expand its manufacturing capacity and is looking for a new greenfield site. The remaining of the investments will go into other businesses like the agri-business and into some corporate investments as well. Now, Chairman and MD Sanjeev Puri also said that the industry is seeing green shoots in rural demand, but also a good monsoon is what will help revival, given that even food inflation remains sticky. The company also told us that the demerger of the hotels business should be completed in 6 months, with Sanjeev Puri hinting towards a possibility that the hotels business will get listed by the end of this year, but is dependent on regulatory processes going as planned. Back to you.
Many thanks for those details, Shilpa. Now, India's largest conglomerate, Tata Group, gets even bigger. This after the recent rally in TCS and Tata Motors took the Tata Group's market valuation beyond $400 billion. Yusuf K is here with more. Yusuf?
Well, the Tata Group has 26 listed companies. They have added a whopping $100 billion in market cap over the last 1 year, taking the conglomerate's valuation above $400 billion. The latest rally in shares of TCS and Tata Motors have led to this milestone. TCS has been gaining on the back of better than expected earnings. Shares of Tata Motors rose to a record high after a Nomura upgrade. With a market capitalization of $190 billion, TCS contribute almost half to the group's valuation. 4 group stocks, TCS, Tata Motors, Titan and Tata Steel, accounted for 3/4 of the group's valuation. Mukesh Ambani-led Reliance Group has a market valuation of $277 billion. Adani Group occupies the 3rd spot with a market capitalization of $206 billion. The 3 largest conglomerates in the country boast a market valuation of $884 billion, which is higher than all the listed companies in Spain. Spain had a combined market valuation of $815 billion.
So Tata Group, they're getting only bigger. Thank you so much for those details, Yusuf. Now, relief for SpiceJet. The Supreme Court has rejected Sun Group promoter Kalanidhi Maran's plea challenging the Delhi High Court's order, which was in favour of the airline. A division bench of the Delhi High Court had set aside an order that granted an arbitral award to Maran. The Apex Court has upheld the High Court's decision. SpiceJet has welcomed the move, saying that the dismissal of Maran's plea vindicates their position in this prolonged legal battle. Many states like Karnataka, Delhi, Tamil Nadu and Himachal Pradesh may not be happy with the special mentions and allocations given to Andhra Pradesh and Bihar in Budget 2024. But for industries in these states, the allocation is welcome. CNBC TV 18's Jude Sanith reports that though there are pockets of Andhra Pradesh where the absence of an outright grant for Amravati is disheartening, there is enough to keep them smiling.
The Modi 3.0 government did not forget its allies who helped it get a third term.
Our government has made concerted efforts to fulfill the commitments in Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act. Recognizing the state's need for the capital, recognizing the state's need for a capital, we will facilitate special financial support through multilateral development agencies. In the current financial year, 15,000 crore rupees will be arranged with additional amounts in future years.
But while Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman announced the much-awaited funding for Amravati, it is not everything many had hoped it would be. Many in Andhra were hoping for a financial package or a grant from the centre for the state to construct its greenfield capital, Amravati. What Andhra got instead was the promise of financial assistance in availing 15,000 crore rupees from multilateral development agencies.
The people of Andhra Pradesh were expecting actually a grant status for building the capital, whereas it has come through financial assistance. So there is a slight bit of a disappointment in that.
I don't think so. It is a very bad move, but a grant would have been definitely better than a multilateral loan that they have said.
However, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has also promised allocations towards setting up of essential infrastructure like power, roads and railways in the state. To the industry here, that is a big positive. The budget has also promised funds to develop economically marginalized regions like Rayalaseema, Prakasam and North Coastal Andhra Pradesh. Then there's the promise of support for the long-pending Polavaram project and lower basic customs duty on fish feed and shrimp feed that will benefit the state's bustling seafood industry.
The duties reduction in terms of fish feed and also the support for setting up a fish feed industry is very welcoming. I'm sure the industry, the consumption is happening here. If the production can happen here, it's definitely helped the industry to grow.
Getting access to better feed, better brood stock will definitely enable the industry to be much more competitive in the world market with respect to being able to export, because the seafood in Andhra Pradesh is also facing a lot of competition from, now I understand, from the South American countries like Ecuador and stuff to the traditional markets that we're approaching. But this reduction of BCT will definitely give us an advantage in it.
The bigger positive for the people of Andhra, however, is the promise of continued support down the line. And that has people hoping that this will come in through the next few budgets. In Visakhapatnam, Jude Sanith.
On that note, it's time for us to take a short break. But coming up on India Business Hour, travel chaos in France ahead of the opening ceremony of the Paris Olympics. French rail network hit by arson attacks and vandalism. Repairs could take a couple of days. Details when we return. And you can also catch all of CNBC TV 18's news and updates on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram and JioCinema. U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris held talks with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Harris voiced her serious concerns about the casualties in Gaza, and she will not stay silent on the war. She also stressed the need for a path to a two-state solution. Following the meeting, the U.S. Vice President also addressing the media, where she reiterated that Israel has a right to defend itself, but how it does, it matters.
What has happened in Gaza over the past 9 months is devastating. The images of dead children and desperate, hungry people fleeing for safety, sometimes displaced for the second, third, or fourth time. We cannot look away in the face of these tragedies. We cannot allow ourselves to become numb to the suffering, and I will not be silent.
Former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama have endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic presidential nominee. In a statement, the Obamas said that they believe Harris will make a fantastic president of the United States. The big international story hours before the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games in Paris. France's rail network has been hit by arson attacks. The attacks have caused major disruption to some of the country's busiest rail lines and has also caused travel chaos across Europe. State-run operators said that installations along lines connecting the country's north, west and east to its capital of Paris have been affected. Coming back to the Games, the opening ceremony is only hours away and we will see athletes from over 200 nations cruising along River Seine on boats. The Paris Olympics is estimated to cost nearly $9 billion. This, surprisingly, is only... So who funds the Games? Sanjay Suri gets us the math.
The Paris Olympics come at a cost, of course, but the Games are almost certain to deliver and bring in a great deal more than what gets spent on them. Consider the cost first. Officially about $9.5 billion, but really expected to be about $11 billion. But almost all of it, about 96%, coming from the private sector. Public spending will cover mostly the Paralympic Games. And these expenses, they cover just about everything from planning, organizing, and then delivering the entire event. So things like building premises or renting them, preparing and operating facilities, hosting the athletes, transporting them, and not least, security for the competition. And we've seen already through the sabotage of the 3 train lines as the Games got going, that nobody's going to be shy of spending on that. Nobody will want to save on that. But then think of the earning. The tickets, just the tickets, 10 million, almost all sold out, price between about $100 to $3,000 each. And visitors expected to spend about $3 billion in Paris just through the Olympics. And one way or the other, the Games are expected to contribute between $7 and $12 billion to the entire Paris region through supportive investments and earnings. The government is expected to earn about $6 billion in tax and other related revenues. And finally, and not least, the ad effect. What a showpiece to the world. Paris is already the world's most visited city with close to 50 million visitors a year, spending about $35 billion in a year. And that showcasing is certain to now increase those numbers. The knock-on effect on tourism will continue a long time. Forget the cost. It's a great investment. The government is hitting gold.
So that's Sanjay there with the math behind the Olympics. But Parth Jindal, the founder of JSW Steel, one of the sponsors to the Indian Olympic contingent, is backing the country to win 12 to 15 medals in Paris. He also listed out some athletes who felt were favourites to win gold.
So I'm optimistic. I think double digits. I wouldn't settle for anything less than double digits. My own count is about 12. 12 to 15 is where I would be thrilled if India gets to, but anything less than double digits, I would be disappointed. Neeraj goes in as the favourite. Yes. There's no doubt about that. Then we have a chance in boxing as well with Nikhat Zareen. Yes. She has a shot at a gold. In my book, Vinesh Fogart is another one who is, although the Japanese are extremely strong, but we would be expecting Vinesh to put up a very strong fight for a gold.
India's top athletes will take on the best in the globe this weekend. Here is what you should watch out for. The campaign will begin at 2 p.m. Indian Standard Time on Saturday as India's largest shooting contingent to ever participate in the Games. takes aim to glory. The men's and mixed team will certainly be looking to make the finals before the women's team finals on Sunday from 12:45 p.m. Racket sports will also be on display this week. India's tennis duo Rohan Bopanna and Sriram Balaji will take to Roland Garros Court 12. Remember, India's first and only tennis medal in Olympics came back in 1996 when Leander Pace created history with a singles bronze at the Atlanta Games. Badminton star PV Sindhu will also be in action this weekend. Her match is scheduled to begin at 12 p.m. on Sunday. Remember, a podium here would make it her third Olympic medal. India will also be looking to create a massive upset in table tennis, courtesy Harmeet Desai. However, Jordanian Zaid Aboyaman stands in his way in the first round. The match will take place from 6:30 p.m. onwards on Saturday. Our boxing stars will take to the ring on both Saturday and Sunday. Two-time world champion Nikat Zareen will certainly be looking for a podium finish in a challenging group. Preeti Pawar's Olympic debut looks like it will be equally challenging, with many medalists on her way to crowning glory. Saturday will also see India's hockey team lace up to improve on their performance in the last game. The men in blue will take on New Zealand in the first round. That match will begin at 9 p.m. So lots of action to look forward to over the weekend. But before we wrap, the CNBC TV 18 SME Champion Awards was held in the capital today. The second edition of the awards is celebrating remarkable achievements among smaller companies. Small businesses are the backbone of the Indian economy, and the award is aimed at encouraging innovation and pioneering spirit among India's entrepreneurs. And with that, it is a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. Many thanks for watching. The news continues right here on CNBC TV 18.